Hello and welcome to another Pie and Smith production. We're here to do a quick review of the action that took place at the World Darts Championships on day 8. There was 8 games played on Tuesday, back to the 4 in the afternoon and 4 in the evening. Some cracking performances, some great stories, some not so good performances, and then a couple of betting snippets as well for Pieman and myself to cover. So Pieman watched every single dart thrown yesterday, so I'll hand you straight over to the main man, Matt Pieman Hill.
I've got a confession to make. I missed half a set of Joe Cullen versus Wayne Jones. So yeah, I can't mislead our watchers. I've got to be honest with you. Yeah, no, I did. I watched the bulk of it yesterday, and it was a really good day of action. Had a bit of everything, to be honest. We had some, as you say, some middle of the road performances, but also some fantastic performances, some disappointments, a few upsets, and a few favourites that have enhanced their credentials even further in my eyes. But yeah, let's take a look through it. Let's have a run through. So first game, we had Brendan Dolan beat Edward Shooty Fawkes 3-1. I know you were with Fawkes at 2-1 for the upset. To be honest, looked like it was on for the first 2 sets. This was a very even game. It was going exactly as we kind of forecasted in our preview. Fawkes sort of dealing with everything that Dolan had. But the main issue in this game was that when Dolan was there for the taking, Fawkes couldn't really capitalise. He missed far too many doubles. And then Dolan did click into some kind of gear towards the end of the match, but it still wasn't massively impressive, to be honest, Brendan Dolan. He was very workmanlike, got the job done. And I think maybe the occasion got a little bit to Fawkes, to be honest. Let's not forget, this is someone who'd come from absolutely nowhere, stunned us in the first round with a great performance. And then it just, it all got a bit too much for him, I think. But credit to him, he far exceeded expectations. And Brendan Dolan, not sure someone I'd be keen on going forward, to be honest.
No, well, he plays Gerwyn Price, and Price was not brilliant in his first match, which was the second round against Jamie Lewis. Lewis averaged 90.46, and he took 2 sets off Gerwyn Price. Brendan Dolan yesterday averaged 90.69, so virtually the same. Yeah, I would expect Price to beat Dolan, and so would the bookies, but Price is definitely going to have to be better than what he showed in his first game.
Sorry, I totally agree with you. The only one saving grace I'll give for Brendan Dolan is he does sometimes raise his game against the better players, and he has been there and done it against the better players. So maybe a tie with Price is exactly what we need to see the best out of Brendan Dolan. Maybe he will, he could get into, because he can hit 180s, Brendan Dolan. Maybe that'll liven him up when Price bangs a few maximums in. But if not, it'll be one of the easier games that Price could have had.
Yeah, Price is 2-9 to win that game, and then that as well brings us on to Joe Cullen. One of the rare success of a tip, if you like, from me. I said I fancied Joe Cullen yesterday to win 3-0. I think it was around the even money markish from memory. But anyway, yeah.
Might have been a bit bigger than that, to be fair. I think you're doing injustice there. 7-4.
Well, a winner on the board and about bloody time. But yeah, we beat Wayne Jones with ease. To be honest, the second set was a little bit closer, as I know you'll touch on, Pieman. But other than that, it was pretty comfortable for Cullen, and nice to see him in good form.
Oh yeah, it was comfortable for Cullen, and it was the far cry from his recent first round games that we've seen in previous years, where he's had some where he's gone out unexpectedly or not turned up, or it's been a real scrap. This was everything you would want it to be from a Joe Cullen perspective. He played quite well. He never really had to get out of second gear. His combination checkouts were, in pretty reasonable lick. He had a 90, a 91, an 88. So I mean, his 2 dart combinations, which are always a good indicator for these players of how well they're playing in themselves. If they're putting them away, they're feeling quite confident, I always think. And he just always had a little bit too much scoring for Wayne Jones, who, to be honest, Wayne Jones wasn't really at it. He played better against Kieran Tian in round 1 than he did it against Joe Cullen, and he needed to up his game, not go backwards. So that played into Joe Cullen's hands. But you couldn't help but be impressed with Joe Cullen. I'll just say, from a Wayne Jones perspective, you wonder maybe now whether at this stage of his career he didn't believe that he could beat Joe Cullen. He believed he could beat Kieran Tian, and he played reasonably well. But here he kind of looked defeated from the first set, to be honest. But tougher tests await for Joe Cullen, namely Johnny Clayton in the next round. And that could be one of the games of round 3.
Yeah, definitely. That's definitely one to look forward to. Set to take place on Sunday when the action resumes. Cullen's been put in as the favourite for that game at this time. He's 8-11. Clayton's around 11-10. So yeah, good game, close with the bookmakers, and it'll probably be close on stage as well. So look forward to that one. They're at a very similar level. Yeah, and they're in a difficult quarter in terms of Van Gerwyn is very likely to be awaiting the winner of Cullen against Clayton. But yeah, good luck to the pair of them. Good game to look forward to.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that, and looking forward to having a bit of a deep dive into that one when the time comes. But yeah, next up we had Simon Whitlock versus Darius Labanowskis. For me, game of the day. Labanowskis was absolutely fantastic here. We did touch on it, his performance in round one against the Chinese qualifier, where he just looked really on his game, but we wondered that only whether he would be able to replicate it against the pressure of Whitlock. Well, he did that and some, to be honest. The last set went 3-0 Whitlock, but even then it wasn't ever comfortable for the Aussie. I said that I would like him to have a stern test and get through it, and that's exactly what he got here. He had to average over a ton to get past Labanowskis. Moment of the tie, and probably moment of the day, to be honest. Whitlock missed a couple of darts to win the game 3-1. Looked certain to be coming back because Labanowskis was stuck on 164. And he had to take it to stay in the tournament, and he did. It was a fantastic finish, 219s in the bull to take the fourth set. At that point, you were wondering whether that would be a key moment for Whitlock. When those go in against you, you do sometimes think, is it going to happen today? But he doesn't. This is what I'm most impressed about with Simon Whitlock now. He did what he did when Labanowskis hit that 164. He applauded him. Yeah, he gave him a clap, and he got straight back to the board and hit a 12-dart leg. And it is just his mindset. Simon Whitlock is in such a good place mentally. I think he really believes he can win this World Championship this year. I was so impressed with him, and I'm not surprised he's been trimmed again. I actually thought he would be trimmed a bit shorter. I think there is, don't quote me on this, I think there's still a little bit of 50 around, but he's a general 40s chance now. I think he should be shorter than that, Simon Whitlock. I think he looks, it looks like a 25-33 chance to me, the way he's playing.
Well, he takes on Christoph Ratajski in the next game. Another coin toss game. This is going to become a theme of our third round previews. To be honest, a lot of coin toss games. We've already touched on one, Clayton against Cullen. Ratajski is the very, very slight favourite to beat Whitlock, but it pretty much is a coin toss game in layman's terms. The averages of those two respectively were very similar in their second round games. So
I'd have that the other way around. I think Whitlock should be the favourite for that game.
Yeah, and we said this at the time. Yeah, we said this in the big preview video, the court preview, because Ratajski was a shorter price outright than Simon Whitlock, and I remember saying if they were to play each other in the third round, I'd be interested in the prices. As it were, it's actually turned out pretty much in line with what the prices suggest. So yeah, that was game 3 yesterday, and then the final game of the afternoon, Pie Man, was the American Danny Baggish. I know you've had your eye on. We've got a clip of you saying how much of a threat he could pose, Danny Baggish, particularly to Adrian Lewis. He's already posed a threat and seen off Damon Heta, who was well fancied, including by myself. And then he's gone in against Adrian Lewis yesterday, played his game as we suggested, and he's won 3-1. And the very, very much a deserved winner. And I mean, he was a decent enough price yesterday. I think he was 5-2-ish yesterday. Baggish. I said I wouldn't be confident in backing Lewis at 1-3, but I wanted him to win, and I did expect him to win. So it is an upset, and on goes the Danny Baggish train.
Yeah, just obviously on that clip, it's amazing how intelligent you can make yourself look when you can trim out all the crap and just do one line of interesting analysis. But no, seriously, I thought Baggish would cause Heta some problems in round one, and then obviously less of a surprise when he caused Adrian Lewis problems as a result, because everyone came into this knowing that he was a good player and that Lewis would have to be at his best. Well, quite frankly, Lewis was appalling for the first two sets, averaging around 80. He was pulling every dart, low on the treble 20, low on the treble 19. It was a real battle. I didn't think Baggish was playing outstanding. He was just playing solid darts. He wasn't worrying too much about what Lewis was doing. As we anticipated, he was just coming up to the board, doing his thing, knocking the legs off. He won the first 4 legs without reply. And you just kind of wondered whether Lewis was ever going to click into gear. As it happened, he did so in the third set. About midway through the third set, he hit a 140 and gave a massive roar, trying to G himself up. And it did. It worked. It was brilliant from that on. He won that third set. And it looked for all the world like Lewis was about to level it up, because he comes straight out in the fourth set and broke. And the momentum shift was huge. Baggish did come off the boil a little bit. Lewis very much on the boil. But yeah, as I say, this fourth set, I kind of felt if Baggish was going to get it done, he had to get him out of there in 4. If it went 5 sets, there was only one winner, to be honest. And the key moment was when Eddie Lewis stepped up, throwing for the set. He was 2-1 up in the set, come up to throw for it, and Baggish took out a 91 checkout after Lewis had missed a couple of set darts.
He went ball first as well.
He went ball first, which I'm a big advocate of. I was absolutely delighted to see him do it, because Simon Whitlock, for all I love him, he does frustrate me with every time he's on 91, 94, he goes straight for the treble, and he often denies himself that dart at bull. But Baggish, obviously the theory behind it being that if you hit the 25, you can still go single to leave the bull. But Baggish went for hit the ball and then went single 1 for tops and planted it right in the middle of tops to break back. And that broke the heart of Lewis, who'd got all the momentum and was playing well, but suddenly Baggish was throwing for the match again, and Baggish stepped in and hit I think it was a 13 dart leg to win it. I mean, he didn't really do anything wrong when the chance was presented to him. Lewis was sat there waiting on tops, I think it was, to win the game. If or maybe it was a finish in the it was a 2 dart combination to win it, so the pressure was very much on Baggish, but it didn't show it. Very good performance from the American. Disappointing for Adrian Lewis. I mean, he must be frustrated with that. He showed how that game could have gone if he'd just started a little bit better. He played the American off the board for a set and a half, but as it was, slow start cost him, and as you said, Baggish rolls on.
Yeah, and he'll slide down the rankings again, Lewis, after that early exit there. And yeah, he just didn't quite look himself, to be honest. It was a bit disappointing, but emotional win for Baggish as well. We saw his emotion on the stage, and it turns out that he got a call yesterday morning and his brother is in hospital, I believe. So yeah, all is not well over the other side of the Atlantic in Danny Baggish's life. So yeah, fair play to him.
Did have a little bit of a tear in his eye when he won the game, and he was looking a bit emotional. And as it happens, some bad news for him. But I mean, he'll be, because of the situation, he's one of these players that will be staying over here throughout Christmas. Waiting for that third round game where he'll play Glen Durrant. He'll have a chance against Glen Durrant, because we all know about Glen's issues. And then the winner of that would play Van Dyvenbode or Adam Hunt for a place in the quarters. So who knows? Is Danny Baggish story over yet? Maybe not.
Well, we'll be talking about Big Dirk in a couple of minutes. Firstly, Danny Noppert against Cameron Carrillo, the South African, who had a bye in the first round in a game where you fancied the opponent who had to pull out Clearmaker.
I did.
And Carrillo, first set, he come in here, he looked absolutely bob on. He was a couple of 180s. Finishing was either bang on, absolutely bang on, or miles away. There was no in between. And Danny Noppert, to be honest, that's the worst performance from a seed I've seen so far. To be honest, I didn't think he was very good at all. He ended up winning 3-1, but the 3 sets he won were 3-2, 3-2, 3-2. So. Danny Noppert is going to be taking on Dave Chisholm or Keegan Brown in his next game. I wouldn't fancy him against either of those two.
Yeah, and not to take a rain check on Cameron Carrollison, because I was impressed with him the way he approached it. I kind of disregarded him as someone who was out of his depth, and he won the first set with aplomb, but he won it averaging under 80. Danny Noppert was averaging 60 something. I mean, that's pretty much pub standard. It was appalling from Noppert, to be honest. He was very fortunate to get through this game. If his opponent wasn't as erratic as he was, he just simply wouldn't have got through this game. As it was, the South Africans doubling dried up a little bit, and that was the problem. He was around 50% in set 1, but nowhere near that for the remainder of the game. He had plenty of chances to get Noppert polished off, and he couldn't do it. And what an uninspiring performance from Danny Noppert. He's going to have to go away and really work on his game after Christmas if he's going to have any hope of going further in this tournament, because, frankly, anyone else in the draw probably would have beaten him with that performance. Oh, yeah. He plays the winner of Dave Chisholm or Keegan Brown in the next round. And, personally, either of those players I would be with against Noppert. But if it is Dave Chisnell, if it is to be Dave Chisnell, then there's just no way I can see Chisnell going out to Noppert. Noppert's going to have to play 10 times better to make that competitive.
Yeah, and then on to the second game of the evening session. Devon Peterson beat Steve Lennon 3-1. That does not tell the whole story. I thought Devon Peterson was crap, to be honest with you. His 180 scoring wasn't there. As early doors, it did come later in the game. I think he did it 9 in total in the end, but the first couple of sets was off. His finishing was off. The finishing was off for a period, and there was a hatful of missed doubles by both of them. Steve Lennon should have won the first set for me. He didn't. He lost that 3-2. He should have won the second set. He lost that 3-2. And as the story went on, Peterson, like I say, goes on with a 3-1 win. He did not impress me.
No, the doubling was the story of this game. Atrocious from both players, to be honest. I think Steve Lennon, he missed an obscene amount of doubles. I think he was 7 from 46 on the doubles. You're not going to win any game with that. Occasion seemed to get to him. Peterson kind of was there for the taking, as you implied. He's finishing marginally better, 11 out of 44, but I mean, that's still appalling, 25%. It's just not going to be good enough against the better players in this tournament. And Steve Lennon, I think you can kind of put it down to nerves, to be honest, because his scoring game was in better form than Peterson's, but he just couldn't capitalise on his chances. To still average 90 with his doubling stats shows that he was scoring pretty well, and quite the contrast for Devon Peterson. Other than a few 180s, he didn't really score too well. He was quite lucky to get through it. It looks more comfortable than it was, and got to be wary of Peterson in the later games, because he'll have to improve quite a lot, I think.
Yeah, he will definitely. And then the best game of the evening session was another 3-2. We said it was going to be 3-2 either way. I think you went for Rob Cross winning 3-2 in the Empire Man, to be fair to you, and Dirk Van Den Bergh actually took it 3-2. He was 3-1 down in the final and deciding set, I believe, and Dirk rattled off the last two legs. I thought, a bit hot and cold really in the game. Dirk won two sets 3-0, and then obviously the final set 3-2. And then he lost a couple as well along the way. I don't know, a bit of a strange-ish performance from both. I know you was watching intently, Pyman. What did you make of it?
Well, I thought this game, it kind of went to the form book as I expected it, to be honest. Rob Cross, it was nip and tuck as anticipated. Rob Cross on his two sets where he threw first, the first and the third set, he played really well. Averaged over a ton in set 1 and averaged 96 in set 3. So he was never really in danger of losing those sets, but he just didn't apply enough pressure in the Van Dijvenbode sets for me. He had 2 sets off there really, and almost accepted that it was going to a 5th set. Then you get into the 5th set, and it's effectively a best of 3 legs, and we know these can go either way with this caliber of player. I just felt like Cross would probably get over the line. As it happens, he did look like he was going 2-1 up, and then he went off with a 180 against Van Dijvenbode's throw, at which point I think the 3-2 cross, which was put up at 4-1, was around 1-5. So a little unfortunate there for any followers. But look, fair play to Dirk. He dug in there. He got that leg back, and then he knew when he approached the board with that last finish that if he didn't take it, he was out, because Cross had 3 at double 6 to win the match and had looked pretty efficient on his doubles. But Dirk stepped in. He took his 1 dart opportunity at double 18. A massive win for Van Dijvenbode, and I'd say for all he's achieved this year, possibly the biggest win of his career, because he's at the World Championships playing Rob Cross, former champion. Really tight game. He had 1 chance to win it, and he took it. Fair play to him, and it's an open part of the draw for him.
Yeah, massively. Anyone that knows me for my horse racing betting, I love an unexposed runner, and that's what Dirk Van Dijvenbode is. I think it's pretty much his first win at the World Championships has come this year. Obviously, he's won 2 games. He did play in the first round as well. Plays Adam Hunt in the next game. Will be favourite for that. Plays then Glenn Durrant or Danny Baggish. Now, he might not be favourite against Glenn Durrant, but we've said many times there's question marks over Glenn, and we're going to find out about his one. So I've looked at the outright market this morning, and I'm going to back Dirk today at 50-1 on Betfair. I'm just trying at 55, but I will back him. So like I say, I think he'll beat Hunt. I would be more than happy for him to take on Durrant or Baggish, don't really care. And then you're getting into the realms of a Michael Smith or a Gary Anderson in the quarterfinal, then anything can happen. He does believe in himself, and he's going to get better for the experience every time he's up on that stage. So yeah, I've had a couple of quid on Dirk. Well, we'll be having in the next few minutes. And the final game of day 8, just to touch on, was the impressive Dimitri Van Den Bergh, who averaged 105 in a 3-0 win over Paul Lim. I think another one yesterday that I predicted would be 3-0. So got a couple right yesterday for a change.
Fire.
But yeah, well, yeah, by my terrible standards. But yeah, I was in our preview videos a couple of weeks ago. I was strong on Dimitri Van Den Bergh making the quarterfinal. I thought he had a reasonably easy run. I much preferred him to take on Paul Lim in the second round than Luke Humphries, so I was happy with that. I think he'll beat Watamina or Kenny. That's who awaits him in round 3. And then it's either Noppert or more likely Chisnell. We've already said Noppert's not in great form. So I was of the opinion that Dimitri Van Den Bergh would make the quarterfinal, probably play Michael van Gerwen. He was 15-2 to win the quarter. I backed him. I logged on a couple of days later. He was even a bigger price, I think 8-1. So I backed him again. And then yesterday, after that impressive win, which was expected last night, after that win, the market has now put itself right, in my opinion. And Dimitri is now in the region of 4-1 to win the quarter, and that is the correct price. So we're on at the wrong price, and it's now the correct price. I'm happy with that.
Yeah, you've just got to hope he can replicate that performance in the next couple of games, and then he'll have that showdown with Michael van Gerwen that we're all desperate to see. And I think that could be a contender for game of the tournament if they get there. Dimitri done nothing but only confirm our thoughts with that performance last night. He looks to have carried his form over from recent events. He looks at home on that stage. No nerves, really. Paul Lim, yes, he didn't really replicate his performance against Luke Humphries, but he still asked questions, and Dimitri had all the answers. And someone that I'm going to touch on a lot more in our Christmas Eve preview, Dimitri, the wrap-up video, if we get that filmed. But yeah, very impressive and couldn't fault him.
Yeah, absolutely. And that will wrap up our review of day 8. There's plenty of content coming, as Pieman said, and we're going to try and do a Christmas Eve special if we get time through other commitments or lockdown or whatever that may be. So, yeah, thanks for watching. Keep the comments coming, and we'll speak to you very soon.
Cheers, guys.